Okay, hi guys. My name is Ree. I work for Mother Kelly's, and tonight, well, usually on this channel you would be seeing Natalia doing a beer chat with a brewery and talking through a beer. But we're changing things up a little bit this evening, and I've got my good friend Roxy with me, who's just released her autobiography, Born Fighter, looking great. And yeah, we're just going to talk about her book this evening. A few things that I just want to let you know beforehand. If you don't know about our relationship between Mother Kelly's and Ruqsana and the gym that she fights at, or trains at, sorry, my boss, Nigel Owen, has been training at the KO gym for a few years now, which is how he knows Rox. Not only do they both train there, but they both have the same coach. And yeah, we've kind of, I guess, been in cahoots with each other for a while, and both the KO gym and Mother Kelly's, our flagship Mother Kelly's, are both based in Bethnal Green, and Roxy is, well, I guess you don't live in Bethnal Green anymore, do you? But you grew up there. So yeah, that's how we know each other. That's what we're going to be talking about this evening. And before we kick off, we have got a signed copy of Roxy's book to give away. And what we're going to do at the end of this chat, keep an eye on our social media channels, on our Twitter, our Facebook, and our Instagram. We will be asking you a question based on tonight's chat. So if you just listen carefully, pay close attention, yeah, you could be in with a chance of winning her signed copy. So yeah, I guess we should just crack on. No further ado, guys, this is Ruqsana Begum. Hi, Roxy.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. And yourself?
Oh, I'm all right, thank you. Just trying to figure out how to do lockdown 2.0, but I think I've kind of coming to terms with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you been stuck at home?
Well, I've kind of stuck to my usual routine of training, and then, I take my rest at home and then go for a run in the evening. So yeah, I just managed to find a really nice routine that works for me at the moment.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad that you're still able to get out and get some freedom. I guess the second lockdown's been a little bit freer than the first one was, right?
Absolutely. I think we've managed to navigate ourselves a little bit better because we've got procedures in place now, ensuring that our safety. So yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I feel a bit more hopeful about this one. But anyway, talking about your book, I've had the pleasure of reading it, and as I was saying to you before, we had a little bit of a chat before we started this live chat, and I guess I kind of don't really know what I was expecting. I thought that it would be a lot more kind of sports focused, and just talking about your journey as an athlete first and foremost, which obviously it does, and it talks through your life thus far and how you've joined, like how you joined KO and started training. How old were you when you started training for Muay Thai?
So initially I started at the age of 18. So
you're 18.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I just kind of thought that it would be talking about that journey, but there's so much more to it, and I actually found it really emotional and really moving, the journey that you've made to kind of get to this point in your career, and how you've kind of defied the odds to a certain extent.
Thank you.
And now you've bared your soul, and you've put everything out there in a book for everybody to read. How does it feel having your story out there for everyone do you feel vulnerable or a bit exposed, or is it just kind of exciting?
No, I mean, the whole purpose of writing this book was to help empower people in similar situation, or people from who are suffering from depression or panic attacks, or just struggling with the work dynamic of bullying. So my whole purpose was to be able to empower people, and through my story, if there's something that they can take and there's some inspiration there, because I was able to overcome all of this. So I felt that I have a strong story to be able to share with the world. So I'm just grateful that I'm so blessed at the moment, and I've managed to figure how to kind of be my own best friend and come out of these dark times that I encountered through my journey as a Muay Thai fighter, and then transitioning into professional boxing 2 years ago. So I just want to be able to give back, share my story. I don't feel vulnerable because I feel like it's my truth. I own my truth. I've embraced it. And perhaps that's taken me a long time to come to that position where I'm really confident about who I am, my roots, my upbringing, my values. And I'm not ashamed of that. So I just want to be able to give back and help people in those kind of situations, suffering from ME, suffering from cultural boundaries, those kind of situations that can give other people hope and empower them.
So thank you. That was a great answer. I mean, through reading your book, you've touched on, you have coped with quite severe anxiety and panic attacks, depression, bullying. You were in an arranged marriage which didn't turn out well, and I guess there's a lot of emotional trauma that came from that, including having a miscarriage. I mean, you've been through so much. Like, what do you think the biggest struggle for you has been in your life so far? What's been the toughest thing to come, and how did you overcome it?
I think it's interesting you asked me that, because obviously in the past I would probably select a situation that I really struggled with, whereas now I think it's not really about the external stimuli that I'm kind of facing. It's more about that internal battle, about discovering yourself and being your authentic self. And sometimes you can self-sabotage yourself. You can have those doubts, worries, anxiety, especially in this climate at the moment that we're in, where we don't know what's going to happen in the future. The uncertainty that can really cloud our judgment and allow take us into that fearful state. And I think that is mastering one's emotions and their mind. That's probably the biggest challenge that I currently face in terms of being someone who can, whether I'm scared or afraid or frightful, I can still take the challenge on and be the best version of myself.
Yeah, that's such a good answer. It's so inspiring, and I'm sure that a lot of people reading your book and listening to this chat now will be inspired by hearing you say that, and just understanding the journey that you've made as well. Sure. Moving from low points, what do you think your biggest success has been? Was it winning the world title, the Muay Thai world title, or is it when did you feel like this is it, the best day?
Oh, I've had many moments where I felt so proud, and just I still look back at my journey and I think, God, I have a world title. And prior to that, when I won my British title, that was a moment. I took it in, I sat there and I really embraced that moment. So there's been a number of moments. Coming back from Latvia at the European Championships with a gold medal was definitely one of my highlights, because prior to that I thought, maybe I just got lucky. Maybe I just won the British title, through sheer luck. But I think that was the defining point in my life, because I was out there on my own. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have any teammates or support. I had one other person who was competing and who was really badly injured. And then everything that could go wrong went wrong. So I mean, I literally fainted on the weighing because the weighing was delayed like by another whole day. So instead of weighing in the morning, I haven't eaten for 2 whole days. So I remember just feeling really faint and I was about to collapse. But that was the defining moment where I had nothing to lose, and I walked inside the ring and I just gave it my all. And that's when I started believing in myself, that when you rely on yourself and you give it your ultimate, you have no expectation and you're not trying to overanalyze, and just be yourself, just give it your all. There's no holding back. You can live with that decision, and it was more than enough. You know, I came home with a gold medal, and that taught me a lot.
Yeah, I remember like in that particular chapter in your books, when you headed out there, you had no expectations of winning anything.
No.
You were just like, I'm just going to go out, just give it a go. I've got nothing to lose. But quite the underdog in that situation, I guess.
100%. I mean, I remember having a conversation with my coach just prior to leaving, and he said, don't worry, just go for the experience. Just get rid of the cobwebs and you come back and we'll get your fight. But it's better to be able to experience these high pressured situations without any expectation. But you know, little did I know, you know, it was such a huge event. So to be able to perform in a situation like that, where you've got like 150 countries competing, and then to come home with a gold medal was, it just, I had to take it in. I sat there in the changing room thinking, did I just do this? So it was definitely a moment that I remember vividly in my mind.
I remember as well, like through reading the book, the journey that your parents went on with this as well. And like, first of all, them not knowing that you were training and not knowing that you were competing. And then you're breaking the news to them and them just kind of coming to terms with this choice that you've made. At what point do you think the kind of penny dropped and they were like, oh my goodness, like, she's really good. And like, we're really proud of her.
I actually don't know, because I never really invited them to any of my competitions. So I did, you know, because I trained in secret for approximately 4 years.
4 years. How did you keep that a secret?
I mean, I was, you know, obviously when I started, I was 18 and I did it out of passion for the first couple of years. During university, I was studying, and then just once a week I would be, you know, trained religiously every Sunday. And I knew, I was afraid to tell them because I knew they may ask me to give up the sport, because it was unheard of, hardly any Western woman taking part in such a combat martial art. And then you had little me walking into the gym as a teenage female in a male dominated world, that you can really badly get hurt. So I could understand their concerns, and I was afraid that they may stop me from training, hence I didn't tell them and reveal it to them. But yeah, so I guess I plucked up the courage after my arranged marriage had failed, and decided to take them to the gym and introduce them to the environment that I've been spending most of my spare time at.
And that was really a moment that that helped, like going back to the gym. You hadn't been for what, 2 years or something, and then getting back there was something that really helped to pull you out of that kind of deep hole that you were in at the time, right?
Well, I used the sport to kind of recuperate and recover, because I felt like I lost my identity through the arranged marriage, through the breakdown. There's so much emotional trauma at that time. And I guess the only thing that I felt familiar with was the fact that I loved training, and being present in that moment. And rather than being on antidepressants and going to sleep and being at home, I wanted to use sport to kind of recuperate and recover myself. And at that point, my parents felt so guilty with what had happened to me. They just took a step back and thought, okay, let's not say yes, let's not confirm or, you know, discourage her in any way. Let's leave her to it. She's in a safe place. let her just get on with it. So I kind of really appreciated that must have been hard for them, but at the same time, you know, they took a deep breath and just allowed me to get on with it.
That's amazing. It must have felt so good to have their support in that moment as well. It could have, you know, could have gone the other way potentially.
Absolutely. I mean, I guess I came to a point in my life where I thought, well, I've got nothing else to lose, and I needed the sport. I needed it more to kind of find myself and heal myself. And I think they understood that. And for me, it was now or never to be able to disclose to them that this is my passion, this is what I want to do. And they just, you know, they were open-minded enough to take a step back and say, look, we don't want to get involved, but you carry on. And I think eventually when I started competing, for example, going to Latvia in 2011, and I came home with a gold medal, I think that's when they realized that I've got something, I'm talented in the sport. So they became more and more kind of they trusted me more to know that all I'm doing is, you know, partaking in a sport that helps you build confidence, allows you to be disciplined, focused, and be responsible for myself. So I think they just saw so many good attributes that I had developed through partaking in the sport that they just felt more comfortable with me in that world.
And also, you know, like the story that you're telling and the journey that you've been on with your family and through kind of, I guess, breaking down stereotypes and following your dreams in without sounding cheesy is like, it's one that probably so many young people, like male and female, and, you know, individuals from ethnic minorities as well, that may face a multitude of challenges trying to break into this sport or into, you know, similar sports. You're there, you're kind of paving the way for this, I guess, generation of people to do the same. Through, at the end of your book, you mention that you've had lots and lots of people come to you, and because you've done some motivational speaking and you've kind of told your story on TV as well, haven't you? You've had a lot of people approach you and just say how inspired they feel by you taking these brave steps and following your passion, and how, you know, you've really influenced them. How does that feel to have people come and say that to you, and to be that person that can inspire others, and, you know, just by telling your story and giving them an example?
I mean, it was, you know, it's truly, I'm humbled by it. I just feel truly honored to be in such a position where, you know, my story can have such a vast impact on so many people. Whether, you know, I had people message me regarding their ME and they wanted a little bit of advice, how I coped with it. I've had people messaging me about how they can identify with having barriers, cultural barriers, religious barriers, being a female in sport, just the general, like, you know, being in a competitive environment. So many people message me regarding different things that they resonated with in the book. And, you know, it's truly, you know, I feel honored to be in that position where I can tell my story and help guide them and give them hope and guidance, and you know, truly help them in their situation. And I totally feel, you know, in a very blessed position to be able to do that and reach out to people from all backgrounds, all walks of life. And, you know, yeah, it's definitely an honor to be in that situation. And I'm grateful that people are reading my book and listening to my story and taking something from it where it can help them.
You said to me earlier about your book that you walked into was it your local Waterstones? What shop was it? You walked into your local bookshop and you got a copy of your book next to, was it Bruce Lee's biography?
Yeah.
Now, I know that he was I know that he's quite a bit of a hero of yours, and part of your inspiration for getting into like martial arts in the first place. Like, tell me a bit about that.
Oh, absolutely. So growing up, I remember my uncle used to sometimes come over and stay. And, this was the late 80s, early 90s. And he used to watch Bruce Lee. I never knew who Bruce Lee was. I was just fascinated by this small man who was, full of skill and wisdom. And I think I was around 8 or 9 at that time. And I think that's where my initial intrigue started developing. And I just, that's why I fell in love with the sport. But he was definitely my earliest inspiration in discovering martial arts. And then to see my book next to his, it was, oh my God, it was just like, yeah, it was a moment for me to really take in and just enjoy that moment. I
love that story so much.
Honestly, it made my day walking in. I think it was Foyles in Stratford, and it was so unexpected because I didn't know that they even had my book there. So I walked in and I see my book right next to Bruce Lee. It just made my day.
I know a question that Nigel wanted me to ask you was, what was it like having a ghostwriter book for you? What was that experience like?
I mean, initially I had, I'm going to open up and I'm going to be vulnerable. So I really wanted to know that I can trust this person and that they portray my story in the correct manner and the way I want to tell the story. So I really, felt scared, and I felt, am I doing the right thing? What if it gets misconstrued, or if it's not told the way I've envisioned it? But I had a really good experience. Like, I worked with Sarah Shepherd, and she was non-judgmental. She allowed me to just speak. I think a lot of the times that I just did the talking and she just recorded me. Other times she would send me emails with a lot of questions, and then I would answer the questions and reply back to her, especially when I was in camp in Las Vegas. So it was, for me, it was a really nice experience. It wasn't, I mean, the overwhelming part was reliving some of those moments for myself. Some of these situations that I completely forgot that I even encountered, it's reliving that. So she was almost like a therapist for me, without any giving her a side of, giving her input into the situation. But yeah, it was really nice. I thought it was quite positive. So I really enjoyed working with a ghostwriter.
How long did it take to write it?
I think like a year, but we had a lot of, in between we had like notes from the editors and giving us feedback on what to elaborate on and what not to. But generally it was a really smooth process. I think it was one of the easiest projects that I've worked on. I guess because I'm quite open and transparent with my journey, and I feel like if I'm going to tell my truth, I need to be open and vulnerable. So it made it easier to kind of allow her to just write the story and I read back. And one of the reasons I wanted to work with Sarah is that, I'm dyslexic, and I felt really vulnerable about, am I capable of writing it? Am I going to correct my grammar? But she was brilliant. She allowed me to, I trusted her. And I think that was the main point, to open up and share my story with her.
I guess trust is the main thing in a situation like that. And I'm like, I mean, only you really know how happy you are with the way that your story is being portrayed. But I'll tell you, it's a fantastic read. I loved it. Couldn't put it down.
Thank you.
So I know talking about things that you feel passionate about. Obviously, you've told your story and you've been inspiring others in many different ways through your personal story and just being who you are and doing what you do, but also with your charity work as well. And I know that you work with Kelly Holmes Trust, and I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about that, because I know it's a charity that uses kind of sports and professionals within the sporting community to kind of share their passions and encourage and motivate young adults and young people.
Absolutely, yeah. So I'm an ambassador for Dame Kelly Holmes Trust. I think they do amazing work, working with young people and supporting them in terms of writing up CVs, finding work, general advice, sporting activities, team building, just general life skills. And some of these young people come from really, hard backgrounds where they may not have family support or any kind of friends or families around them to be able to give them that guidance. So we act as mentors, project leaders. We come up with creative ways of introducing new ideas and projects that could support these young people. So it's been fantastic. But honestly, like when I was working on one of the projects, I remember going home feeling really tearful that these young people had to suffer so much. So it was definitely an eye-opener, and it connects me back to the community and allows them to kind of see people like myself and other elite athletes. They had a few of the Olympic runners partaking in that project, and it gives them hope. It encourages them. It shows them that they could be one who's involved in some of these projects in the near future, or just go into a good job, because we help them with building confidence, values, tackling interviews, that kind of stuff. So it's a great project and an initiative that I'm proud to be part of.
Oh, good. Hopefully, once we've finished our chat, we're going to start wrapping up in a minute. We'll put a link to the Kelly Holmes Trust in our socials, so that if anyone wants to go and read more about it or donate or participate in some way, that they'll have the information that they need. Okay, right. Well, I guess we're kind of nearing the end of our chat now. I know that we've got a question from Sylvan asking, when is your next fight? Will it be televised?
Well, with the current situation, it's quite hard to get any confirmation about my next fight, but I'm keeping in shape. I'm trying to stay positive. So you never know, it might be a last minute thing, or it might be early next year. Yeah, it's just difficult to say at the moment, but it may be televised depending on what show I jump on. Obviously, my last fight was on Channel 5 with the Haymaker promotion. So you never know where I might be fighting.
I know that you are, although you don't necessarily have you don't have fights signed up at the moment, you are pretty excited because you've been nominated for the William Hill Book Prize, right?
Yes.
So what's the deal with that? When will that be announced?
So my book has been shortlisted amongst hundreds of books to become.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Top 5 sports book of the year. So it's a complete, it's such an honor to be nominated for such a prestigious award amongst such amazing authors. So yeah, I'm so ecstatic about that, and I think next month in December they will announce the winner. So fingers crossed. I am the only female on that list, so I'm just like,
wow, really?
Yeah, I'm so proud that to be even shortlisted is a pretty big deal. So yeah, we'll hear next month if my book gets through.
Well, super excited to hear back about it, and wishing you like all the best. The book is brilliant, and yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just wrap up, coming to the end. But Roxy, thanks so much for taking the time out of your evening to chat to us. Roxy's book, Born Fighter, is available in most good bookshops. Sorry, did you want to say something before we finish?
I want to say a huge thank you to Mother Kelly's for, arranging this. And I've had such great relationship, obviously through KO and with Nigel, who's obviously your director and founder of Mother Kelly's. He's been an amazing influence in my life, such a good friend, such a good guy. And honestly, like, there's been so many times where I've needed to have a really hard conversation with someone and get advice, and he's always been there at the gym giving me feedback and advice, and just neutral point of view. So I really appreciate the kind of relationship that I've had and the great people that I've managed to encounter. Certainly Mother Kelly's has been a huge part of that, alongside KO. So I'm so grateful for these amazing people that have supported me along my journey. So thank you, everyone, and continue to support me.
Thanks, Roxy. Well, I'm on behalf of Nigel, I'm sure and Mother Kelly's as well. It's our pleasure to support you and to kind of get involved with everything that's going on in the local community. I think it's especially important at the moment to work together and to kind of try and bring people together as much as possible. And it's just been so lovely being able to chat to you about your book and just just kind of have a catch up, really. I hope that you've enjoyed yourself.
Thank you so much. No, it was wonderful talking to you. I felt like you were a friend. That's it.
We go way back now.
10
so yeah, guys,
back.
you can I know, right? Guys, you can get hold of Roxy's book from most good bookstores. I know that it's definitely on Waterstones and Amazon. I mean, thank you so much, Roxy. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And we will be back on the YouTube channel soon, probably with Natalia, hosting the next chapter of I'll Be at School. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, in the meantime, I guess catch you soon, Roxy. And I hope everyone's had a great evening and has enjoyed being part of the chat.
Thank you. Have a lovely evening, guys.
See you.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah, you too. Bye.